everybody, my name is Alex and I am the host of Mapping Charts. This is a podcast about knitting, sewing, and creating. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you are a new one, welcome to the party. And this is the one in Newark, New Jersey. I have finally moved to my new place, and oh boy, it has been a couple of busy weeks, which is why I had to take a little break from podcasting. But I'm so happy to be back. Vogue Knitting Live is this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to the meetup that Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes and Eric from Sticks Plus Twine is hosting. So, but more to come on that later. And I would also like to thank Jenny so much for shouting me out on her podcast. Yeah, that was really sweet of you, and I'm looking really forward to meeting you this weekend. Basically, yeah. We have a conference room. It was really funny because when I met my roommates on Craigslist, because that's how you meet roommates these days, they gave me a tour of the building and I was just really entranced by it. We have a conference room, we have a bowling alley, a game room. It's pretty intense, and the conference room is great just because, you know, even though my roommates now know I have a knitting podcast and they would like me to give a shout out to them. So hey roomies. You know, it does feel a little awkward, you know, recording, because recording a podcast isn't exactly the easiest. I know that I rarely do mine in one take. Sometimes I end up flubbing up my words and then I have to re-record, and it kind of is a little weird when you're kind of saying like the same thing again, because you think you messed up. But anyway, again, I am so happy to be back, and I will talk more about the move later. What I like to do with my podcast is that I like to separate it with an agenda. So first, I'm going to be talking about finished objects. Knitmas is over, and I live to tell the tale. Then I'm going to be talking about my works in progress. And since the holidays have come and passed, there is a lot of stash enhancement. And then I'm introducing a new segment called Life is What Happens When You Make Other Plans, which is another word for my knitting blunders. And then we're going to be talking about meetups in the area, where I'll talk about Vogue Knitting Live. And then finally, I will talk to you all about life lately for those who are interested. So anyway, while I have finished 3 Fortnight hats, 1 pair of mittens, and 1 Luuk hat and 1 Barley hat, they have already all been gifted. So what I will do is show them right now. Everybody loved their gifts. They were a huge hit. However, I've learned that I am not one for marathon knitting at all. I took off 3 days of work just because I had a lot of vacation time, and I wanted to see my family, but I also knew that taking 3 days of work off would definitely give me the ability to finish all these gifts in time. And I have to say that it was just not a really good way to go about it. I set some really lofty goals for me with the gifts that I planned to knit, and I thought that I would be able to get all of them done before Christmas, but I was knitting my little brother's hat on Christmas Day, which was really cool because he was able to see the process that was involved in it, so maybe he won't lose it too fast. But yeah, it was a lot, and I talked with my Aunt Nina, who not only has given me tips on how to make the podcast better, but she's somebody who really appreciates handmade gifts. She loves the blankets that her aunts have crocheted and knitted for her, and she told me, Allie, you know what you should do if you plan to give handmade gifts? Just do them over the year. Maybe you should start around, you know, your relatives' birthdays, and which is pretty convenient because in my family we at least have 1 birthday a month between my brothers, my parents, my step-parents, and my aunts and uncles. So it kind of works. So I think I will definitely take her suggestion into consideration, just because I also noticed that my hands started to hurt. And I am a commuting cyclist, and if my hands hurt, I can't ride my bicycle. So I was just like, and also I found that my hands hurt so much by the end of Knitmas that I like had to take a little break from knitting, and it was killing me because it's just become so part of my lifestyle, like watching TV or on the train or during my lunch hour at work. And I just thought, I can't basically do so much and like almost like wreck my hands because they're so important. But I also say, you know, what may happen to me may not happen to you. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's lifestyle is different. I know that I tear these hands up so much between knitting and cycling that maybe my hands get weaker faster over time. And hopefully that's really not the case, because arthritis really isn't my jam at age 28 right now. But yeah, it was such a huge hit, and I'm really happy that my little brothers especially really enjoyed their gifts. So yeah, next Knitmas, Christmas 2016, I am going to be way more efficient when it comes to planning you out. So, but I do have some works in progress as well. And as I said in my last podcast, with all the Christmas knitting, I previously, until I cast on for my Featherweight in late December, I have not knitted anything for myself since October. And I can't even tell you how awesome it is just to know that you're knitting something and it's yours. You don't have to give it to anybody, and it just, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you the satisfaction that I'm getting from it. But the first work in progress that I have is my Adama cowl by Hilary Smith Callis, and I am knitting it on a Malabrigo worsted in the Azul Profundo colorway. It is worsted weight yarn, and as you see, it has like this really, really pretty lace detailing, which will go very well with my purple wool coat. As you may know, for those who know me in real life, I have an affinity for the color purple. And last year I kind of had all purple accessories, and as much as I, really enjoy the color, I love the history behind it. Purple was the color of royalty because it was so hard to dye. Like when I look back at pictures, I'm like, well, Alex, you kind of almost look like Marie from Breaking Bad. So you kind of need to break it up a little bit. So I found this beautiful beautiful dark blue, and I am really loving knitting the pattern up. It's for a lace cowl. It's pretty simple to knit, and I have been working on it while watching Master of None and making a murderer, which has been the topic of controversy within my family and friends. But yeah, I hope to get this done hopefully by next week, because I would really like another scarf to wear. I ended up frogging the scarf I made last year because I was just getting back to knitting, and it was koigu, but it was all stockinette, and I wanted to, even though it was functional and it looked really good, I wanted to just frog it and do something a little bit more challenging with the yarn, now that I feel that my skills are getting where they need to be to meet the challenge. So yeah, but with fingering weight yarn, as we all know, sometimes it takes forever, and worsted weight, it's just so gratifying. So maybe that will just have to be like a work in progress throughout the year. For right now, it was a really, really cold day in New York City and New Jersey. So the sooner that this gets finished, the better. So yeah, and I'm knitting these with my Chiagu interchangeables in a size 9, which is a 5.5 millimeter. So, and I just really adore my Chiagu interchangeables, but more on that later, because I do have some tool stash enhancement as well, and I can talk about the difference between 5-inch and 4-inch interchangeable needles, because I certainly did not know the difference until I realized I needed 4-inch interchangeables. So we'll just put that over there. And then I have my Featherweight, and this is actually my first sweater. I've always been intimidated by knitting sweaters, thinking that it was something that was way above my skill level, that only the master knitters would take this on. But, you know, after just watching so many podcasts throughout the year, I've just been so inspired by everybody. And I love how our community is so encouraging of one another, because we all understand that we're all at different levels, and that's totally all right. Because, like I said, our lifestyles are different. I know mine is very, very busy. That's to the point that I'm so grateful for the times I get to knit. So yeah, like just being able just to somehow find the confidence to just go and just take the plunge and knit a sweater was really, really huge for me. And I have to thank my swap partner, Amy. We participated in the junk yarn mini skein swap last month. And she gave me some wonderful minis that I'll be talking about later in Stash Enhancement. But we had talked about how we have, we consider ourselves, you know, being more confident with our knitting skills, but we both have not cast on a sweater. So we said to one another, why don't we just cast on in January and see what happens? And I have to say, the Featherweight is a really enjoyable knit. I started the sleeves right before, well, I bind it, I can't say I started, I bind it off for the sleeves. I bound off for the sleeves right before I left for my conference in DC last weekend. And it's always so exciting when you kind of see the garment all come together. But I am knitting this out of Catskill Merino lace. It is in their blue-violet colorway, and as I'm seeing, the conference room definitely has better light than my own bedroom. But yeah, I'm really loving how this is knitting up. It's a single ply, and you know, the one thing I love about single ply yarn is just that I love just kind of seeing all the kinks and I don't know, it kind of feels more rustic. And especially Catskill Merino is a really special yarn to me because I grew up in upstate New York, and I am so happy that my first sweater is made out of upstate yarn. And what I love even more about it is that there's even little flecks of hay just, you know, as you go through the ball. And I know that some people may not enjoy that, but I do. I just think it makes it just a little bit more special. So one thing I did do a modification after you know, listening to Kristen from Vine and Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes talk about how tight these sleeves, like underarms, could be. I did increase the pattern suggested to me to increase by 6 stitches before I bound off for the sleeves. I ended up doing 8 just because I wanted a little bit more room, and then especially after, you know, hearing other people say maybe you should consider this modification, I didn't want to be sorry at the end, and it fits pretty well so far. Let's see. So right now it's just a little shrug. I ended up knitting, like I said, I bound off for the sleeves right before I left for transportation camp in DC last weekend, and I was able to get a lot of the body done during the conference. Believe it or not, transportation conferences are very knitter friendly. Last year I was at transportation camp, and I was sitting in a better blogging section, and there was a male knitter right next to me, and he pulled out this beautiful lace scarf that he was making for his wife. And he's an engineer, so it kind of totally made sense that he was doing lace knitting because, you know, engineering, there's so much structure, and with lace knitting, there's a lot of structure. And he said that he was inspired to learn how to knit because his wife learned how to crochet. And they thought that maybe they could have the different skills together. And I just thought that was completely adorable. A man who knits a scarf for his wife, you are A-okay in my book. So yeah, we were just kind of joking because in addition to transportation camp, there is a transportation research board conference that goes on every year. It's their annual meeting, and but unfortunately I wasn't able to go to that because my unit within my agency, we weren't presenting, but me and my friends were able to kind of sneak in with my one friend who was legitimately invited, and we were just joking about how if I was able to go to this conference, I could probably have the whole Featherweight done. So yeah, maybe next year I will have a sweater done during transportation camp TRB weekend. But yes, I am very, very excited to see how this goes along. So now, I'm kind of tangled. The one thing I like about knitting podcasts is that it's almost kind of like knitting with a friend. It's not really made to go kind of perfectly. So, and I wouldn't really want it to be either. Like, I want this to be just me talking about a hobby, flaws and all. So, all right. Well, as I said, stash enhancement. After the holidays, there was a lot. But first, since I was talking about Amy's swap with me, she sent me these gorgeous minis that I'm so excited to knit with. When I'm in swaps, I usually I opt for the international partners, just because I know that it's a win-win for both of us, because they usually want yarn that I'm not going to use this blanket statement. My partners have appreciated me giving them yarn that they don't typically get where they live, and I know that that's one thing that I appreciate as well. I want to try out so many yarns, and I definitely think that just basically having international swap partners from Europe or Asia, it definitely introduces me to all these companies that I may have not had the chance to knit with. And anyway, but yes, she's completely spoiled me. Let's see, she gave me this skein of Countess Ablaze. She gave me a lot of Countess Ablaze, and I've always heard so much of them, so I was so excited when I was able to tear open the package and see all of this. This is another colorway of Countess Ablaze. Yet another Countess Ablaze. I really, really love this mini skein. And yet another Countess Ablaze. And I think this may be one of the last Countess Ablaze skeins that she gave me. Let's see, there is also Easy Knits. I have never knit with Easy Knits before, so I'm looking really forward to that. There's like little flecks of Selena in there, and I love green anything, so that was right up my alley. She also gave me some Ginger Twist Studio, which I also have never knit with. There's like, it's really cool. It's like, kind of looks like water to me with all these blues and purples and whites. Some Regia, or Regia. I know that there's this, we all pronounce it different ways. I've never knit with Regia before, so I am looking forward to this. Then there's drops. I've never been able to find drops in American yarn stores, so I am super excited. I really like how it kind of has this really neat halo, if you can see it. And also she gave me some Rowan, and this gray is right up my alley. So thank you so much, Amy. In addition to the mini skeins that she gave me some really cute bicycle earrings, Cadbury chocolates that we can't get in the States, and some really wonderful stitch markers that I actually am currently using on my Featherweight. So thank you so much, Amy, for your generosity. I really, really appreciated it. And and basically when I came back to work after my little knitting sabbatical, I saw that on my desk my colleague C gave me a yarn bowl, which has come super in handy, because as I've been getting to know my roommates, I've been knitting with them while we watch hockey and sip tea, and like my yarn ball was going everywhere all over the floor, and then I realized, wait a minute, Christine gave me this wonderful bowl that I can just kind of keep my little ball in. So I really enjoy it. It has like this little spiral right in front, so you can kind of change yarns really easily. And for those who are really committed to having their ball within the yarn ball, there's you can also place it in these circles. But I don't think I'm ever really going to do that, just because I'd like to work on different projects. So, but yeah, this is a really cool option if that floats your boat. And she also gave me a skein of Plymouth yarn, some Plymouth sock yarn, and I believe it is their Happy Feet, which is 90% superwash merino and 10% nylon. And this is completely me. I grew up near the original Woodstock site in Bethel, New York. My high school was about 20 minutes away from it, and I adore tie-dye everything. So I really can't wait to cast cast this yarn on for a pair of socks. So thank you so much, C. This was so generous of you. I also, I thought that I would knit another featherweight, and I did a custom order with Kristen from Villain and Vine Yarns because I love her Volca base, and I especially love her fairy hair colorway even more so. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a featherweight cardigan in fairy hair? But as I'm knitting my featherweight, and I'm having a lot of fun with the pattern, but I do want to kind of branch out to other patterns. So I think that this will actually end up being a Corrina from Brooklyn Tweed. But yeah, so she gave me, I was able to order 3 skeins. This is one of them, and it's just so gorgeous. It's a superwash merino, 80% cashmere, 10% nylon, 10%. 435 yards each, 100 grams. And she just has such a wonderful hand, and she's so wonderful to do business with as well. So, if you haven't tried out Villain Vine Yarns, I definitely recommend that you do. I have her Halo Apelka base, and I believe her Stark sock base, but I don't think she carries that anymore. But she's just, I don't know, I just love the way her hand is at dyeing, and I just am so fascinated by the process. So think that this may, after I finish the featherweight, I think I'm going to cast on the Corrina. And yeah, thank you so much, Kristen. And yeah, so as I said, I was in DC this weekend, and after hearing so much about fiber space, I knew that I had to figure out a way to fit it somewhere in between transportation camp and seeing all of my friends and kind of sneaking into TRB. So towards the end of my trip, right before I got on Amtrak, I just basically was like, okay, I've got an hour to spare. Let's just really hope the metro runs on time, and so I can head over to Fiberspace. And believe it or not, I've never been to downtown Alexandria before. I used to live in the district when I interned for a federal agency. And everybody always said, go to downtown Alexandria. It's beautiful. My name is Alexandra. And, even though Alexandras and Alexandrias, we always get frustrated with folks mixing up our names, we're all defenders of mankind at the end, which is what our names mean. So I was always kind of curious as to why I was never able to go. But it is just so nice. And I wish I was able to spend more than just the 40 minutes I was able to. But everybody at Fiberspace, they are so nice. The store is organized so well. There was Trudy, who was one of the assistants, who complimented me on my Sodermom hat, which is a pattern by Maria Monskin, and I ended up just ravelry messaging her the pattern so she would have it. And it was, oh man, I would just love it if I had easier access to there. They have such wonderful events. I follow them on Instagram, and I'm always just like, oh, the teleportation was only available. But I ended up getting a worsted weight skein of hazel knits in their Cirrus colorway. I think this is going to be my Lolo hat by Jared Flood. I knit one for my friend earlier for Christmas. It was my thank you present for letting me live with her. But yeah, I think that this blue will really complement my winter jacket really well. So maybe within the next, I think maybe within the next week, I may just give my featherweight a little bit of a break and just basically just crank out this hat. I know that I can do like do a Lolo hat in 3 days, because that's how that's the amount of time it took me to knit my friend B's hat. So you know, I love my soldier mom, but I kind of want to give it, you know, a little bit of a break. And I'm also a commuting cyclist, and one of the reviews of the Lolo hat has been that everybody loves it because it's the perfect hat to fit under a bicycle helmet. So I could really appreciate that. So yeah, I'm very, very pumped to cast this on. So yeah, I don't know. I think that might be the. I think I might put myself on a cold sheep diet. I when I was organizing my room, I got one of those sweater organizers to organize my yarn stash, and I'll insert a picture of it here. But, you know, my question to all of you is, how do you store your yarn? How do you organize it? Before I moved to my new apartment, and I'm now given like a really ridiculously huge closet, which is insane. It's the biggest I've probably ever had. You know, it was always kind of a challenge. I always kind of put it into a bag and everything kind of got all tangled up, but I really like using a sweater organizer. I'm finding that you know, like I have been organizing, you know, there's my mini skeins have their separate place, already caked up yarns all have their place, skein yarns have their place. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with it, but I would love to hear what you all have to say. And I did make a mapping charts Ravelry group. The information is in the down bar. So if you would like to chime in on that discussion, maybe we can share pictures of how we organize our stash. But yeah, like as I was looking at it, and especially after you spend so much money furnishing a bedroom, you're just like, wait a minute, you know, I'm looking at my stash right now, and I should really consider just knitting from stash a little bit, maybe until Rhinebeck. No, I'm never going to do that. But there's some more sweater projects that I know I cannot knit from stash with. So yeah, so you know, hopefully my knitting goal for 2016 is just to utilize my stash more. So for Christmas, I kind of hinted at my parents that I would really like an interchangeable needle set of with 4-inch tips. And I remember when I started looking at interchangeable needle sets, I did not know what the difference was between 4-inch tips and 5-inch tips. And then I realized that one thing I can't do with my 5-inch tips is knit a hat or something that requires a smaller circumference, because you have, like, it just kind of is like there's no way for like the cable, no matter how short it is, to really get something that feels comfortable going on. So I had asked her to get me a set, and she ended up giving me the Knitter's Pride Dreams interchangeable set. And as you see, it was really like it ends up being like 4.5 inches, but it's still so much easier on my hands, just because like as you see, the shaft kind of like got into the palm of my hand a lot, but with the Knitter's Pride, it doesn't really go into the crease of my hand that much, and it was just so comfortable to knit with. So I definitely am looking forward to these. I think I may want a true pair of a true interchangeable needle set of you know, actual 4-inch needles, but until I do make the investment for that, these will do just fine. I really like how light these are. The only thing I would say against the set is that like my Chiaogu 5-inch tips, they like basically it's just they don't require me to use multiple keys to unlock them. It's just one standard key. The Knitter's Pride, not so much. Like basically, to show you what I'm talking about, like different keys open up different sizes, I've learned. So make sure you keep track of those, because I was just like, wait a minute, why isn't this working? I'm so confused. But yeah, I guess like that would be like the only complaint that I have, is just like I'm just so used to just having my two standard Chiaogu keys being able to be used to tighten up my small cables and my large cables. But with my Knitter's Pride ones, I need to be a little bit more conscious of organizing them. But other than that, it's a great set. I would recommend them to anybody. Like I said, they're so light, so much easier than on your hands. when you're knitting garments or objects with that require a smaller circumference. So I'm very, very happy. Thank you, Mom. So yeah, and she also gave me some Knit Picks double pointed needle set. They are the Harmony Wood double pointed needles. Comes in from US size 0 to US 3. So basically 2mm to 3.25mm. And I just really like how smooth these are. They are much smoother than the Brittany's that I've been working with before. They just have like this wonderful glide. And you know, it's always kind of awkward with knitters terms. Oh, this is where this is where the shaft ends. Oh, they have a wonderful glide. It's just kind of awkward talking about things, especially when non-knitters are like overhearing you and they're like, wait a minute, what kind of yarn are you working with? I'm not going to, you know, you all can imagine the one type of yarn that may have a little bit of a, you know, minds may go elsewhere. So yeah, I just really and I really enjoy working with these, and yeah, I'm very, very happy to have a double pointed needle set. And these, and I also really wanted these because I don't really like working with 6-inch double points. I feel like, again, I guess it's just that I have really small hands, and I just find that working with a smaller double pointed needle is just easier for me. So, but yes, absolutely to each their own on that. So yeah, very, very excited. I'm hoping to get double pointed needle sets in different, in bigger sizes. I do but there really aren't many. I know there's this one Knitter's Pride set that comes from sizes 6 to 8. I may be mistaken on that. But yeah, I forget whether they're 6 inches or 8 inches in length, and it's just a little bit uncomfortable for me. So I guess like my search will be to find a double pointed needle set, or maybe acquire double pointed needles in bigger sizes, but a smaller length. And mi madre also got me some crochet hooks in 7mm and 8mm, and I would really like to learn how to crochet. They are from Lily Sue. I'd love to see if they have a website. They do not, which is a shame because these are really, really nice crochet hooks. Basically, it's a rubberized handle, which is really, really nice. I have plastic crochet hooks, which were kind of slipping out of my hands, so I really like the grip that you get from the rubberized crochet hook. And but one thing I definitely need to know is to learn how to crochet. I am not the most adept crocheter. If anybody can teach me, I would love it. One of my sorority sisters, she lives upstate, and we always kind of comment on each other saying, I love what you're crocheting, and she'll comment back, I love what you're knitting. And we always say that we want to learn each other's trade, but we live so far away now that we are trying to plan to be at our sorority's alumni weekend, so we can teach each other how to do this. But on to life is what happens when you make other plans. It's a quote from John Lennon, and it certainly can happen to knitters. So while I was blocking my father's Fortnight hat, I had knitted out of Anzula for Better or for Worsted, which is a merino cashmere nylon blend. And I was living with my friend Ella at the time before my lease started up in Newark, and I basically, she said, hey, there's cinnamon rolls ready, and I was like, oh, that's wonderful. So I put the hat in the bucket of Ugalon, went downstairs, enjoyed a cinnamon roll, and when I came back, I saw that the hat looked so stretched out, and I just thought, no. It looked so perfect on. It looked like it was gonna perfectly fit my father. Now I'm just like stuck with this thing that's like now yay big. So I had a little mini heart attack, and all I could think of was, Alex, how could you not do a gauge swatch? And I know why I didn't do a gauge swatch is because I thought that hats don't really require gauge swatching. No, that's a complete lie. Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes, she has a really good way to think about finished objects, and she always says that she doesn't consider something a finished object until it's blocked. And I think that's just, now I'm going to incorporate that into my knitting. I am going to, before I may have like Like my gauge swatch may meet the current specifications that it needs to be, but until you wash it, you don't know how the thing actually behaves. So yes, I know that, gauge swatching, it's, it's either a thing that you kind of love or kind of hate. But after seeing that what happened with that, I've learned that I want to know the behavior of the yarn. So thankfully it ended up drying back to its normal shape, but let me tell you, I was so worried that I would not be able to give my dad a Christmas present. So lesson learned. But I would like to, now we're going to get onto life lately, just because I was only able to reserve the conference room for an hour, and I know that there may be folks, there are folks who want to use this room at 9 o'clock. So, but yes, I hope that everybody is having a wonderful New Year. On New Year's Eve, I went out with my friends for a little bit, and then I ended up going on the midnight run sponsored by New York Roadrunners, and I did it with my friend T, and it was such a wonderful way to bring in the new year. There was just such a positive vibe just flowing through the crowd, and I also, last year was really tough for me because my knees, they somehow got messed up, and I had to do physical therapy for about 3 months just to get my glutes stronger. And I was just so happy to be able to run that 4 miles without my knees hurting. And it just made me feel like finally, like the physical therapy, it all paid off. I feel like I am able to run the New York City Marathon. I just gotta, just be able to train smarter, make sure to do my stretches, and all will be well. So, but yeah, I definitely, if you are a runner, or if you are inspired to be a runner and you want to do it next year and you live in the area, I more than invite you to come run with me, because I think this might be my New Year's tradition from now on. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And oh gosh, moving. As anyone could probably say, moving is definitely one of the most expensive things that you can do, even when you are on a budget. Basically, this was the first room that I've ever had to furnish in my whole 28 years of life. When I lived in Hoboken, my room came furnished, but prior to that, I was living in the graduate housing that Rutgers had. So yeah, basically, I found out that you can order mattresses, a bed frame, pretty much anything that you could possibly want off of Amazon Prime. So that was really wonderful, because I don't have a vehicle. Even though I do have friends who have cars, I didn't really want to just say, hey, you're already helping me out so much, can you help me out with this? But yeah, Amazon Prime was absolutely wonderful. And it was just so nice, because last week I tried to record a podcast, but it just didn't really feel authentic, because I was just, rushing to build furniture and getting the room together, and making peace with the fact that I'm spending a lot of money to make the room the way I wanted to. So yeah, I was just really happy that I was able to, that now everything is done. I don't have to worry about much. Just maybe getting another pair of sheets and a bed bug mattress protector, because trust me, in this area, you can't take much for granted. There was an outbreak of bed bugs where I went to grad school, and I never want to relive that ever again. So yeah, it's definitely, gosh, it's just hard. It's so scary. So yeah, I'm just really happy that everything is coming together. I'm even happier to be living back in Newark too. Work is not that far. It's only a walk down the street now. And I used to live in Newark when I went to grad school here. And even though people may think, oh, Newark, it's so dangerous, and let me tell you, if you think that way, you haven't been to Newark lately. I first started living here in 2013. I took a break from it from May 2014 until November. And even in under 3 years, downtown has changed so much. I was just yesterday, I was down Halsey Street, and it looks so cosmopolitan now. And whereas when I was at grad school, it did not look that way at all. Like the new Prudential headquarters, it was still under construction. It was dusty. Like it was just, you know, just all torn up. But now I was just like, wow, this is completely different. And there's so many wonderful things going on in the community. Military Park is, you know, it's been renovated for a while. It was all gated up when I was in grad school, but it was now it was redesigned by one of the folks who helped design Bryant Park, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. You know, even though you know, and you know, like even though Newark does have its problems, and I definitely know that one of my thesis was basically about trying to see if there was a correlation between the amount of homicides in 2013 and seeing if that was a relation to the police layoffs. And earlier in the 2010s, and you know, but the thing is, like, what I like to encourage is that be involved in your community. I encourage everybody to do so. It's one of the most rewarding things, and I say that I always kind of like think of like the Lorax quote: "Unless somebody like you cares a whole lot, nothing's going to get better." It's not. So I mean, in New Jersey, there's New Jersey Cares. In New York, there's New York Cares. Habitat for Humanity. New York City is having their homeless survey, which I'll be participating in next week. So yeah, I just don't know. I think that we all can be our brother and sister's keepers. So places can't get better until we all play a part. So PSA for this week. But yeah, and yeah, you know, transportation camp, a lot of fun. But I think I already talked all about that during the earlier portions of the podcast. And also, if anybody's doing the TD5 Borough Bike Tour, I will be participating again this year. It is so awesome. It does sell out really fast. So if you haven't registered now, you better go to your computer, because it can sell out within 2 weeks. And registration just opened up, I think, either yesterday or the day before. So yeah, but it's just such a wonderful thing. The streets are closed in New York City. You get to go 40 miles throughout all the 5 boroughs, respectively. You get to go across the Verrazano Bridge to Staten Island, which is an experience like no other. And honestly, you do not have to be an experienced cyclist to do this. I just can say that anybody really can. You definitely have to put some hours into your bike, not you know, to develop your muscles as well, but so you can help get used to your bike. Because I will tell you, like, even though like I was riding on my road hybrid last year, I was hurting a little bit because I wasn't used to putting that many hours in the saddle and riding that much. So it was kind of funny. It was more so getting used to riding my bike for that long rather than the physical. So that was like that was something that I learned. But yeah, you know, if you want to participate, just let me know, and I don't know, maybe we can have our own knitting team at the 5 Borough Bike Tour. But with all of that said, it was such a wonderful time. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention there's going to be a knitting meetup at like after Vogue Knitting Live this Saturday that Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes and Eric from Sticks Plus Twine are us hosting, and we're going to be having it at the Latitude Bar and Grill, which is not that far from the Marriott Marquis. I will be there, and if you can make it, that would be so wonderful to meet you. But yeah, I think that I have basically, I think maybe the people who have reserved this room right after me are going to be here at any moment. So thank you so much for spending some time with me, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Until then, I hope everybody's doing well, and I will see y'all later. Bye!